Hello and welcome to my art studio. I am Kristen Olson Stone, and today I'm going to do something that's semi-abstract and semi-Christmassy. So this is a poinsettia plant. This is just an image I got off of Google, and I just wanted something that was kind of a zoomed in close-up look of a couple of poinsettia flowers, and I wanted to use a more contemporary palette to paint them. And I wanted to have a more expressive approach. So I'm going to use just a palette knife. This is Rembrandt Cobra paints. This is burnt carmine, cadmium yellow medium, titanium white. This is Madder Lake. This is Pyro red. This is a color called rose, permanent green deep, and ultramarine blue. So kind of a different palette. And I thought it would be really fun to add this pink color to my painting. So I'm going to start with burnt carmine and just do a couple of expressive strokes of just this color. So just right out of the tube. And I'm going to put just a stroke of that on each one of these leaves. We call these flowers, but actually these are leaves. They're leaves that start out green and they turn red. I used to live on the Big Island in Hawaii, and one of my neighbors had her whole front yard in poinsettia plants, and they were as big as bushes, and they would bloom every year around Christmas time, and it was just so pretty. Nice memory. Okay. So that's the start. Now I'm going to pick up Pyro red, again, just by itself, right out of the tube. And I'm going to put that down, and I'm letting it blend a little bit with the burnt carmine. I just stepped away for a minute to turn off one of the lights in my studio that was creating kind of a yellow cast and some shadows, and I apologize for that. I just forgot to turn it off before I started filming. Okay, so continuing with the Pyro red. So Pyro red is a transparent red. If you don't have Pyro red, you could use transparent red, permanent red, you could use cadmium red, but cadmium red is semi-opaque. But if you're using it without white, it shouldn't be too opaque. But anyway, those are some good substitutes. Burnt carmine is also similar to another color that I really used to enjoy using called Caput Mortem Violet. So what these are colors that are sort of earthy and not too bright and colorful, but they're great for underpainting and great for blending and mixing with other colors. So we're already starting to get this expressive look of the plumeria, or excuse me, the poinsettia. Now I'm going to pick up Madder Lake, and I'm going to go across the leaves, and I'm going to start getting a little more expressive in my application of the paint. I just added one more light with my studio lights. Okay, so there's that. And now I'm going to mix titanium white with rose. And I'm going to start adding some really thick strokes of this on top of the red. So when you start layering paint, whether you're working with brushes or palette knife, you definitely want to get thicker in your application as you start layering one color over the next. And this thick layered look is what I'm going for. So I don't want to overdo the pink too much. Now I'm going to go on to the next flower and make a couple of strokes of this beautiful color on the other one. There we go. So keeping my strokes really thick. So in the background, we have some green leaves. And so I'm going to start with permanent green, and I'm going to mix it with a tiny bit of cadmium yellow medium. And I'm going to make some thick strokes of that around these other leaves. And on this side, it's going to just be very loosely applied paint because there isn't any real leaf that's defined there. Now I'm going to mix some of this green with ultramarine blue. So the ultramarine blue will be where it gets closer to the petals, where it would be somewhat in shadow. Oops, sorry about that. And now I'm going to grab some white and mix that with the green. And this is turning this color into more of a turquoise color, which is exactly what I wanted. So definitely a non-traditional approach to color for painting poinsettias. Now I'm going to paint some small yellow centers using cadmium yellow medium and a little bit of titanium white. So just a small amount of the paint on my brush, on my palette knife. And they also have some green around them. So I use a little bit of the green that's here and just carefully put that around the yellow. And I'm going to put some more of that on this side. And in the center of the poinsettia red petals, I want to get this nice, deep, rich blue-green color. So that is essentially the start of this abstract approach. Now I'm going to mix some of this red with titanium white, pyrrole red, just to make a nice bright red that's lighter in value. And I'm going to go over some of these leaves with thicker strokes of this paint. And I want to try to give them more shape now, and I want to layer them over some of the dark green. So I'm going to mix a little more of this color now. So value creates dimension, and having this lighter color on top of the darker color will start to make my leaves look more three-dimensional. So going over to this one now, and I'm being careful not to cover up the pink that I added because I really like how those thick strokes of pink look. I'm going to go across the form here and give it a nice point. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix pyrrole red and titanium white with Madder Lake. And go over some of these petals. And I'm going to use burnt carmine now, and I'm going to mix that with Madder Lake and give these a really nice dark center. That's not quite dark enough. I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue now to it. Okay, so back to the pink, this nice hot pink color. I'm going to just randomly put some strokes of that all around here. And now I'm going to pick up some white, and I'm letting my white be dirty, meaning it's mixed with some of these other colors, but I'm just using it to paint over the blank canvas. And then I'm going to warm it up with some yellow in just a minute. This is a very expressive approach to poinsettias. Now I'm going to use a little bit of this yellow, kind of warm it up on this side. And notice how I'm wiggling my palette knife around. I'm not moving it in left to right directions or vertical or horizontal. I'm using it to blend a little bit, but also to create some strokes of paint that have movement. I'm going to put a little more in the center of the poinsettias. Now I'm going to use some more of this ultramarine blue and mix it with permanent green. Just really having fun with color and just the free and expressive, playful nature of this whole painting. And as loose and expressive as I've been, you can still tell that these are poinsettias. So the final thing I'm going to do now is go back in with some bright red. So I've mixed Pyrrole red with titanium white, and I really want these to be thick. My collectors absolutely love getting these paintings with really thick application of paint, where they're almost sculptural, where there's so much thick paint that you sort of want to touch it. They just love it, and I love looking at them. And the sculptural nature of that thick paint adds another dimension to the work, making it more interesting when you look at it up close. And like I said, almost like a sculptural, it has almost a sculptural nature to it. And when the light hits it from different directions, it makes it look slightly different. So you can kind of see something new at different times of the day, if it's getting any natural light. That stroke got a little muddy, so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit and make this one bigger. So I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow with the burnt carmine. Make that slightly more gold. And just put a few spots of that nice warm color here and there. And the last thing I'm going to do is mix some ultramarine blue with titanium white and make some nice bright pops of a bright, pretty blue. So everywhere else around the poinsettias, the colors are more straight out of the tube or they're blended. But I wanted to have some nice bright pops of blue like that. I'm going to mix some of this yellow with a little bit of the orange or the little bit of the pyro red that's left. Make a few warm strokes. There, now we have a nice poinsettia painting. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching. I decided to pick up the painting and turn it a little bit so you could really see how thick and beautiful the paint is. And when I turn it in different directions, it's just really fun to look at. I'll bring it even closer to my camera. Isn't that gorgeous? It's just, I love looking at paint. I've been painting for 30 years, and every day I still love looking at paint and painting. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.